play, because a lot of society is telling kids play is just silly fun. You don't have a job in play. You know, play doesn't lead to a job. It's not maths, it's not English, it's not science, which, you know, for me as a designer, I always find it really sad because, you know, play and drawing and art was, you know, my favorite topic at school. So when you hear kids going, you know, oh, well, you know, I drop play after a while because I have to focus on, you know, science.
Studying. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, when we're saying that, I think that the world is changing to a direction to play is much more important, and being emotional and being empathic and being spontaneous and creative is much more important today than what we think. And sometimes what you said is like, we ask the kids, but they're trained to do something by society, by their parents, I guess. Maybe their parents are expecting them to build a castle in a perfect way. And I think that it's like what we're telling kids about what they should be, because I'm just imagining that if they didn't have the parents in the room, many of them would just play as they want. That's, maybe I'm mistaken. I guess it's more a cultural point of view, that you need to create something. It needs to be practical. You need to have a delivery in the end.
And I think it's the difference between having a box of Lego with just bricks in and the picture on the front is bricks, versus here's a box of Lego which is designed to make a thing. And I think to your point about, you know, the skills it learns, as a kid you learn how to deal with the unexpected, you know, and adapt. Whereas we saw some kids, you know, if you get to the end of building a castle and one piece is missing, they go like, you know, they have a meltdown because it's not perfect. Whereas, you know, other kids will respond with, okay, I'm going to change it and then I'll adapt it and I'll use this piece instead. So I think it really helps teach kids how to, you know, think on their feet and adapt as well. So it's a skill beyond just play. It's, you know, how do you cope when something goes wrong? You learn, okay, well, I can do something different instead, which we realize, you know, kids are using that through Lego as well. You know, you're learning to be adaptable, you know, deal with volatility, the unexpected.
So if there is, let's say Lego is an international brand, they need to find a message that we talk to both kinds of kids, the one who's more, you know, perfect, and the one who's more playful or creative. What would they say? Like, because they need to it's very different one from the other. So they need something that is not that.
Exactly. And I think, you know, you can go with a big theme about, you know, imagination. Because imagination is a big enough idea that you can be both kids, both sides of the coin. So it can be, okay, now I've built the castle, I can imagine what the world is like in the castle, versus a kid that might be like, okay, I can imagine I can make a Tyrannosaurus Rex crossed with a pirate. So you need a theme that's part of your strategy that you can then run campaigns that talk to both of them. And that might be different kinds of parents, different kinds of kids, or even just different geographies.
And the packaging is different. If you go to find a Lego package in China, it will be different than what you buy in the US, or not?
It's the same. So they're all the same systems, but the way you talk about them can then be nuanced by each market.
So what makes a successful global brand strategy?
I think to build on that, it's that idea of, you know, having a global strategy that is also enabled to flex to a local market. So you can evolve that brand to work locally as well. But there does need to be that red thread to the global positioning so that you can see, okay, if I went anywhere around the world, I still get this brand is exactly the same, but there is some sense of, I understand the local culture and I know how to make it work. So you can look at McDonald's and KFC, fundamentally the same, but the way they show up in different countries is a little bit nuanced. You know, and that's the idea. Taking that and then adapting it to a market is great. And I'll give you an example. I work quite a lot with Mr. Muscle, so the cleaning product. And Mr. Muscle, the name itself is all about power. It's about, you know, kind of the colors are orange, very vibrant. And all around the world, the product is called Mr. Muscle. And it's really interesting, their positioning, because it's currently clean less, live more. So it's about, you know, doing the job for you so that you can go out and enjoy what you love doing. But what's really interesting is how that plays out in different markets. So if I give you an example of two countries I've worked in for them, in China and in Brazil. So in China, we were trying to look at, people don't clean their kitchens with chemical-based products on a daily basis. for most people in China, they see chemical-based products as for really big things. So when you've got oil built up, or you want to kind of, really do that big spring clean, they'll use products like Mr. Muscle. Then on a daily basis, they're using just dish soap, which is very, very mild, because they believe that anything in the kitchen shouldn't be chemical. So anything you use needs to be rinsed and washed away. So if you think about simple dish soap, they're rinsing and washing that off the surfaces multiple times just to ensure that it's not there. So that meant that how do we sell a product like Mr. Muscle to people for daily use was a real challenge. But what we did was we took out all the sensories. So we had to develop a product that had no smell and that didn't foam. So essentially it looked like water and it behaved like water, but it really effectively cleaned. And that meant it was really powerful in China, because we challenged their perceptions of the brand, but we also still connected up to that global strategy of clean less and live more, because we removed the need to like totally rinse and wipe from people's lives, because it was just clear they can wipe and go. So we were nuancing the global brand strategy to make it really locally relevant. But then you go to somewhere like Brazil or Mexico, where in order to clean, women have a cultural belief that foam is the thing that cleans. So if I'm cleaning and it's not foam,